So currently in abundance of 500 tons. But will it work? पुराना काम सीने में which is very normal. 25% I cannot give up commitment on 25%. मैंने जैसे वो spot पे depend करता है. फीस के कितना हो जाएगा? 25% किसी और नहीं होना.
Even though you are giving the 50%, तो भी आपको handsome rate करवा देंगे. 50% मिला तो और ज़्यादा अच्छा ही रहेगा आपके लिए. जो रेडी रेटमेंट का रेट रहेगा वो रेट के हिसाब से करवा देंगे.
Maximum how much is it possible?
सब कुछ रहना चाहिए. तो ये लिमिटेशन.
ऐसा अगर कहीं पे कोई बिल्डर करेगा तो भुगतेगा.
The law of the land will definitely will be used to ensure that those people who are responsible for this kind of corrupt practices are sent behind the bar and appropriate actions are being taken.
There is a huge parallel market of money laundering which has been created. He's corrupting the country and forcing the people to resort to illegal means.
Big impact of our mega Magicbricks investigation tonight, as our investigative journalist went underground to prove that the use of black money is still rampant in the housing industry. Viewers, this discovery is troubling because curbing the use of black money in real estate was one of the crucial indicators of success of the demonetization drive. Our evidence suggests that the use of black money continues and it is brazen. The Maharashtra government now says that it will crack down on errant developers who are still dealing with black money. But the question we're asking tonight is demonetization really the right tool to curb black money at all? You can join our conversation either on the phone or on Twitter. Our contact details are on your screen. But in the studio, on the show with me, Hitesh Jain, BJP leader and advocate, joins me in Mumbai. Brijesh Kalappa, Congress spokesperson, joins us from Delhi. Nikhil Mandal, spokesperson of the JDU from the Patna studio. And in the studio with me, Rohit Poddar, Managing Director of Poddar Developers. I want to welcome our panels into this conversation right now. And I will start with asking this basic question. Opening statements from Hitesh Jain and Brijesh Kalappa. Brijesh Kalappa, given the evidence we have seen on our screens through the investigation done by the reporters of this channel, the use of black money is still quite rampant. So has demonetization done its job? Is demonetization really the tool that the government should be using to stop black money?
See, first of all, why was the government doing this demonetization scheme? In the first place, this was meant to finish off their political rivals and to ensure that the BJP and its top brass had a free run. So for this reason, you find that there has been a spurt in deposits from the months of July to September, and these are all inspired by selective leaks, one. And two, you find that the BJP has gone ahead and purchased a huge amount of land in various destinations across the country. Now, this is the other part. Now, the third part is that in places where the currency was being printed, like for instance in Mysore, the union president was a gentleman by the name of Ramdas, who was the MLA, local MLA, and was a former minister. So he was in the know of the entire thing. In fact, he has made a press statement in regard to this. So there are a series of events to link the BJP to the fact that demonetization was pre-planned, was in a manner in which they could be enriched, and in a manner in which their political rivals could be finished off. Now, keeping this larger trend, everybody knows across the country that if one has a 500 rupee note, it could easily be exchanged for a 400. And so who is making this cut? Who is the person who has had these huge amount of 100 rupee notes which are available for immediate exchange? So, you know, this linkage has to first be established. But the point is that BJP leaders have been given a free run. Now, you have seen how Janardhan Reddy planned marriage and successfully implemented the marriage of his daughter after having spent 500 crore. Not a question was asked. Before the wedding, after the wedding,
Brijesh Kalappa, I want to focus on the discovery we've made here on Magicbricks Now, which is that in the real estate sector, and the real estate sector is important because this is a personal pain point for a lot of Indian citizens who feel that because of the number of black transactions that they're unable to afford real estate. And this was again repeatedly brought up by various factors of the government that said cleaning up of real estate will be one of the moves that will work. So I also want to put up on your screen, this was a question that was part of the Prime Minister's poll on his app, where he asked if people who were being polled believed that real estate would actually in fact be cleaned up because of demonetization. Here's the question: demonetization will bring real estate, higher education, healthcare in the common man's reach. We understand now that nothing has changed in the real estate sector. Hitesh Jain, I want you to respond to what Brijesh Kalappa just brought up, and I want you to respond to what we have discovered about the real estate sector. How will we bring homes into the common man's reach at this rate?
Okay, I don't want to respond to the filibustering of Brijesh Kalappa because that's a political stock speech which Congress leaders have been making. In fact, in just like 15 seconds, if I may say, when the Prime Minister speak about organized loot, he was the person who was the then Union Minister of Coal, under which 1,86,000 crore scam was unearthed. And you also saw in 2G the figures of 1,75,000 crore. So these are the people who organize the black money, they use the black money in the system, and they are talking like a holy cow. And anyway, what Brijesh Kalappa says also doesn't make any sense, because his senior leadership is not opposing demonetization, they are speaking on the implementation. So demonetization is an important step. It is given, everybody has accepted it. So I don't think demonetization requires any debate. Now moving on and coming to the topic. Now, when you are speaking about the black money, there are a series of process and steps that have been taken. If you would notice the way the government started, you had Jan Dhan Yojana, you had excise on the gold, then with respect to IDS system came, thereafter demonetization. Actually, demonetization is not the correct word, but the correct word is cancellation of legal tender. Now, if you would have noticed the RBI figures that came yesterday, out of 16 lakh crore, close to 8.9 lakh crore odd has been deposited in the bank. So, it's a very important point that you have highlighted, but just that few stray incidents here and there does not mean, or you cannot trivialize the important process of demonetization.
To be
that
fair,
black money has been failed. Allow me to make the point. Allow me to make the point. Allow me to make the point. You're like few this thing you are taking, but you have to also give importance that close to 9 lakh crore money has been deposited in the bank. And at the end of the day, it's a very elementary common sense that once you have the money in the bank, the lendings will become easier. Those people who wants to buy house for the affordable housing, the interest rate will come down and everything. So of course, this is a step which will give a fillip and a boost to the housing sector. I mean, this is the important step that you have done. And yesterday, if you would have noticed, the income tax, the amendments brought to the Income Tax Act.
Hitesh Jain, first of all, these are not stray incidents. These are not stray incidents. Our reporters went into several sales offices and found that it is quite brazen and rampant, and it's there. Most of these salespeople aren't even shy about bringing it up.
Not only that,
my question to you is, how will you make sure?
We also notice on the night of.
How will you make sure, Hitesh Jain, that this entire cycle doesn't regenerate itself? If these people now are brazenly asking us for newly minted 2,000 rupee notes, saying I'll give you till February to make those payments, it means that whatever, that the move that the government has done brought maybe a pause in it, but it has restarted, and we are only 3 weeks away from that move. So how do we, when you say that people will be able to buy homes, let's be honest about the fact that this entire move has been called a war on black money. And we have just shown you that black money is not even limping right now. Black money is still brazenly being traded. So how do we make sure that we don't go back to the status quo?
Okay, simple answer. If you would have noticed the amendments that were introduced to the Income Tax Act yesterday, stringent measures have been added. Benami Act also, the definition has been added. So on top of it, coupled with the enforcement action, so the public at large have been given a very clear this thing. Come clean, pay 50% tax, your 50% will be in the bank account, 25% will be released after 4 years. Now, if you do not come clean and if you are caught, The penalty which earlier existed for 10% only, that has been increased to 60%. And if you have tried to hide the information, or you're trying to give a dubious information, you're not coming clean, penalty to the extent of 85% has been added in the new amendment. So I think these provisions are very stringent, and this is one of the measures Prime Minister Modi ji has told.
Okay, let me bring in Rohit Poddar and a few more voices. Rohit Poddar, do you believe that demonetization, which was the government's war on black money, and given our evidence that we have seen now of people asking for old notes with a premium, of new notes, you'll get up till February if you're willing to pay a developer new notes, and you'll also get special schemes. There are discounts available in the market for anyone who will continue to pay in cash. There are hard sells being made in this market. Rohit Poddar, will the problem of corruption be stopped now? Do you believe that this was the move to stop it all?
Well, I mean, the answer is in two parts. One is, of course, how to reduce black money. But then one has to also understand the cause and the effect. Black money is generated to basically aid and abet corruption. And this step, even though I think it's a right step in the right direction of making things more transparent, and I support demonetization personally, but many more steps have to be taken subsequent to this, which basically addresses the root cause of corruption. And that basically means, I've been talking about this till the crows fly or the pigs fly, that you have to have single window clearance and an online procedure. And until that is done, then this practice will simply not go away.
So Rohit, you're saying that developers are being asked for bribes in order to get their permissions through, and in order to make those bribes available, they have to generate money in cash.
Well, I think whether you pay your architect or whatever you do, the fact of the money has been that for decades since independence, that's been the case. So it's not a question of bribes, it's a question of that it's a part of the system, right? I mean, unless you basically pay your architect or whoever it is that's going to get you permissions, they won't come on time or things get delayed, right? So as a consequence of this, you have now, for example, a Chief Minister of Maharashtra who understands the problem very well. And he's been talking about the single window clearance as well. Okay. So at least in the affordable housing space, we're quite hopeful for it.
Let me open up this debate. Nikhil Mandal, Dr. Fuad Halim, Brijesh Kalappa, Hitesh Jain. I will come to Nikhil Mandal first. Nikhil Mandal, you've heard the opening arguments. The question that we're asking is, was demonetization the tool to beat black money, and has it worked?
No, first of all, I want to clear it. Right from the first day till today, JDU is with the issue demonetization. But we have already arose several questions regarding implementation. There is many loopholes regarding implementation. And here you are giving example that in real estate, black money is, people are investing black money, and real estate owners are taking black money very easily, or you can say they are trying to white your money by taking your black money. So it's a very genuine and real truth of our society that and also I can say, if all of us will not come forward to stop all this thing, nobody can stop all this thing. Simple thing is that if I am trying to convert my money into white, then obviously, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you, Nikhil Mandal. Go ahead.
Hello?
All right, we seem to have lost that connection. We'll get back to Nikhil Mandal. Tanveer Ahmed of the JDS is also on this conversation. Tanveer Ahmed, we have evidence that the real estate sector continues to receive money in cash. Has demonetization worked?
First and foremost, demonetization, we also, like many other parties, had really appreciated that move of Prime Minister. We had appreciated in your own channel saying that it's a right move. And second thing, we had questioned about the implementation. And third thing, the way black money is turning into white and turning hands is really a laughable thing, which today everybody in the street really knows about it. Today, as we all know, 350% extra gold purchase had happened, and we know real estate people are really doing business like nobody's business. I don't know how this is happening. By doing this, we have really created a new window, new avenue to make your black money white, and this is really had failed totally. The government had really failed to understand because they had not taken economists into consideration. They had not properly planned. Demonetization has really become one laughing stock today. It has become a joke today.
Well, Dr. Fuad Halim joins us now from the CPIM. Fuad Halim, what is your stand right now on what we have discovered about black money?
Well, it's very clear that one has to understand that the black economy does not exist in the domain of the black currency. The black currency is actually a very small part of the entire black economy, which is funds and assets that have been parked abroad. There are a huge amount of assets that exist in India, not in currency form, but in physical assets in real estate itself. And we've got gold. And we got other ways of actually parking fruits of the black economy. Now, the black currency, as with the general currency, is generally used for rolling from one part of this asset profile to another part of the asset profile. So, I think so it's misconceived to understand that by what you call cancelling notes, one can actually catch the black economy by its neck. And that's the first fallacious understanding in this entire process. The second thing is that one has to understand that as money rolls in the black economy, there are costs. For example, if you look at the real estate, the costs have already been, examples have been given that you have to pay for licenses and permissions. So people who are actually building real estate assets and they've got inventories, huge inventories have already been created. If you look at the backlog all over India, there's a huge what you call stockpiling of real estate assets which need to be offloaded. And this situation is going to lead to a crisis because that part of the black economy is actually fueled costs that have gone into and moved on. They have not remained with the real estate sector. So that question is now going to raise its head. And unfortunately, there's going to be a stagnation in the real estate development, and the people who are going to suffer are the daily laborers. Because one has to understand whether you're talking about black economy or white economy, if the economy stagnates, then it's the daily laborer who's actually working on the construction site who gets thrown out of his job. Somebody who's in the real estate ownership profile or somebody who's expecting to purchase is not going to lose his livelihood. He may choose to hold on to his asset or acquire an asset at a later date, but the regular construction site worker is actually going to be out of a job. Now that's the stark reality of this entire process, which unfortunately I see that the Prime Minister has not thought right up to the end. And this is not going to affect the real estate sector, it's going to affect all other sectors across the board. We have already seen that the huge amount of money, as one gentleman was saying, that almost close to 9 lakh crores has already entered into the banking sector, of which only about 2.5 lakh crores have been offloaded in currency. That 6.5 lakh crores that remains with the government over the next 3 months, the banks will have to pay the savings interest on that, or term deposit interest. So already banking sectors have started reducing the interest for the people.
Mr. Halim, let's take this one step by step. I want to give Hitesh Jain an opportunity to respond to all of the things that were said in the opening arguments, and I open up the debate now for anyone who wants to come in and rebut at any point. Hitesh Jain, here are the points that were made. There's a black market now for black money. We know very openly that black money is being traded, that you can pay a premium of 20%, 30% and convert your black money to white. There is Tanveer Ahmed saying that the whole thing was laughable, it was misconceived. We have a point here raised by the CPIM that daily wage laborers are going to be hurt. And of course, Rohit Poddar, who represents the developing industry, says there's so much corruption in local level permissions that unless you clean up the corruption, we can never actually remove black money from the housing sector. What is the government's response to all of this?
Okay, let me respond. As far as about the construction workers are concerned, Fuad Halim is giving just an hypothetical case he is presenting. There has not been a single case where a construction project has been stopped, any workers. It's been like close to over 22 days, not a single illustration on a hypothetical basis. They just want to create, they just want to attack. They don't have any argument, so they are talking about construction. Second thing, what is laughable is he is giving an illustration that because you have taken an action on the black money, now of course 500 and 1000 rupees which were account, so because of taking action on the black money, the legitimate business will come to an halt. Now, I don't know, Mr. Fuad Halim is batting now for in disguise for the black money holders or black money people, or where his concern lies. I think he's clearly
is that there is
now, as far as the government is concerned, now, as far as government
money
is
doesn't
concerned,
exist. And let's be very clear, the 1,500 notes in the black currency.
Now, as far as the illustration in the bank is concerned,
do you think that
that
is exactly
easy?
what is happening?
The government, it is not that easy.
Gentlemen, one at a time.
People are taking bribes in
all the money that has been deposited in the bank. People have to.
Okay,
people, so can I make a point, and Mr. Fuad Halim can then make a point?
Okay, Hitesh Jain, finish what you're saying. We'll take
Because
this point by point.
Let's
first talk about construction workers. Let me just throw this question. Hitesh Jain, 1 second. Let me just throw this question to Rohit Poddar, who represents the industry. Rohit, we know that sales are down tremendously. At this rate, developers are not going to launch. Has construction stopped? And if construction stops in the future, what happens to those daily wage laborers?
I can just speak to you about our own experience over the last 3 weeks. Sales have obviously slowed down a lot. When someone is waiting in line to get money, as a temporary inconvenience, obviously he's going to not buy an apartment on an immediate basis. So I don't agree with the point that developers are getting business at an unprecedented level. That's not the case, at least in the affordable housing sector in Mumbai and most other parts of southern and western Maharashtra.
Stopped? Has construction
certainly has not stopped. And the reason is that, for example, as a developer, we sell and then we construct. So obviously we've got
no, but in the larger
sales.
industry, then you represent the REDCO, which is the Association of Developers. Are developers now being able to pay their labor, and have they managed to continue construction in the last 20 odd days?
Well, I mean, I haven't heard any reports from anyone saying otherwise, but that's not to say that it won't happen in the future if the situation doesn't get under control fairly soon. But as of now, that is not the case.
All right, Hitesh Jain, respond. Hitesh Jain.
Well, in fact, if you will see what will happen, the Prime Minister yesterday in the Mann Ki Baat spoke about a cashless society. Every workers will have a bank account. Earlier, what used to happen, the complaint was people used to take like 5,000 rupees on the name of worker, and ultimately the worker used to get 1,000 rupees. There were complaints to that effect. Now what will happen, the developers are encouraging the workers to have the bank account. They will deposit the salary in the bank account. At the end of the day, the developers are also, there are bearing few black ships. All the developers are accepting the money by way of cash. Most of the developers project are the private equity funded project. So to suggest that developers are always trade in black money and all, I don't think we can look at the developers from the lens of prejudice and look at them as a creators of black money. At the end of the day, the developers play an important role in the creation of the housing sector, creation of wealth. They accept most of the money in the developer sectors is by way of banking transaction, and they will be happy to deposit the money in the construction workers bank account. So therefore, to say that the construction will come to an end or the construction workers will be thrown out, I don't think is a correct thing. In fact, once the rate of interest will come down, I mean, once the bank's borrowing cost decreases, the rate of interest comes down, it will make the housing affordable, and people, I mean, more and more people will get an opportunity to buy the house.
All right, Fuad Halim, you want to respond to that?
So you are going to see
Mr. Halim, you want to respond to that?
You will see the boost in the business. On the contrary.
You see, the first fallacious understanding of this entire argument is that the banking interest, if it comes down, it is going to stimulate. That part of the argument remains. But on the flip side, you see, people are not going to earn from the banks from the deposits that they have already placed. The second thing is that this slowdown is also going to impact the medium and the small sector, and there's going to be a contraction. You know, what we want from the Prime Minister on the floor of Parliament is very clear. We've already got 9 lakh crore rupees out into the banks. We got another 5 lakh crores
Mr.
that
Halim,
need to
allow
come
Prime
in.
Minister
If that
and the
comes
ruling party to speak. You are stalling the Parliament.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to discuss politics over here on that level. What we want is the Prime Minister to come across and tell us that what had he planned on. If there are difficulties that need to be faced, then that has to be spoken of by the Prime Minister. Now, he can very well come and say that GDP is going to expand. It's going to increase by 2 to 3%. Let him come on the floor of Parliament and say that. Until he says that, our stand is very clear that the GDP is going to contract. And if the GDP contracts, the housing sector and the real estate is going to feel the impact of that. Especially the medium and the small sector is going to severely be affected. And if that is affected, purchases in the real estate, people who are looking for homes, their first homes, it definitely is going to be impacted. People who are thinking of investing into their second home are also going to be impacted because of this. So across the board, we are going to see a contraction.
That's a fair point. I want to bring in Tanveer Ahmed and Brijesh Kalappa. Brijesh Kalappa, this argument that when interest rates come down, that they will stimulate real estate. On the other hand, when people are having to stand in line, and we've been to various markets where we know that the perishable market is down, the retail market is down. Rohit Poddar himself tells us that sales of real estate is down. And when people are slightly worried about how much money they can spend, they don't buy homes irrespective of the interest rates. So where do you stand on the argument that lowering interest rates will stimulate the real estate sector and will remove black money? I think we should focus on the fact that this entire move has been called a war on black money. Is that war a successful war?
See, insofar as the war is concerned, Faye, I must tell you that it's been now 22 days. And there's a new scheme, IDS scheme, which has now been launched for 50% tax, and then you can regularize the money you develop. But the point is that 20 days have elapsed. Now, in these past 20 days, you had a huge number of transactions. Whom were you originally planning to target in the first place? You were planning to target 1% of the population, for which you have inconvenienced 99% of the people, made them stand in long queues, made many of them die. You know, a lot of people have suffered, people in hospitals could not be paid, so on and so forth. Now, all this was meant to target the 1% of the population who has the black money. Now, that 1% of the population which has the black money, and that is 5% of all the black money is in the form of currency. Now, that money has already changed hands in the last 20 days. Because whether in the form of builders transaction, whether in the form of home deliveries, whether in the form of straight exchanges, you know, a lot of money has already been exchanged. Now at this stage, to introduce a new IDS scheme is really harebrained, like the rest of the scheme. Now Dr. Manmohan Singh has spoken on Parliament, and he has said this is going to have an effect of reducing the GDP by about 2%. Now, whether this impacts the BJP or not doesn't matter, because the BJP never had a role in creation of this huge economy that is India today. India today is the third largest economy in the world, and it didn't just become the third largest economy in a day. It became the third largest economy after...
Thank God we did not have the role in creation of black money, like the kind of scams we witnessed during your regime.
Japan. And this is the role in which the Indian National Congress has to be established. Now the BJP has had no role in this because they are Johnny come lately. So they have seen that there's this huge economy with...
I'm going to focus on the problem of black money and focus on demonetization. Gentlemen,
this is the point. Now, after having... One minute, Faye. Just 1 minute, Faye. Let me complete my argument. Just one moment. Then now, ultimately, will this step bring down the black money? That is the big question. The black money, like I said, has already been converted in the last 20 days. Now, that black money which is already existent will breed further black money.
Can the Congress spokesperson clarify whether the opposition is to demonetization or to implementation? Can he first state on record whether he is opposing demonetization or implementation?
Smart questions don't take the BJP spokesperson any further because they are being too clever by half. See, if demonetization had been a planned
why are you avoiding the question? Don't duck the question.
Economists, who has it been suggested by? Has a single economist today
Brijesh Kalappa, answer the question. Are you for demonetization or against demonetization? Or if your issue is on implementation, then please come ahead and give us proactive steps. We will be happy to implement the steps that will help.
Gentlemen, I have Balakumar on the phone line from Guntur.
Infrastructure in place where everybody had a bank account, where cashless economy could go on easily, then it was a different
Brijesh
matter.
Kalappa,
But
you will
here,
not
on the other
answer
hand,
because-
you know,
because
with absolutely no infrastructure in place.
Because you are
they
aware
want to
that
ease out the black
demonetization
money
is
on
a
what
correct
basis?
step. Only thing your problem is BJP has taken a step and your government only took the step of demonetization of 25 paise coin. So by the heart you are aware demonetization is the right step. You want to criticize for
Nikhil
the sake
Mandal,
of
I'll come to you in a
criticism.
second.
Your
But all
problem
these, you
is
know,
how
all
the
the-
Hitesh
all
Jain
the
and Brijesh
argument-
Kalappa are both
all these
advocates
silly
in
arguments
this
we've been seeing on Facebook and on Twitter and all this. But really, what is the essential argument?
Okay,
Tell me
all right,
one
Brijesh Kalappa, just
economist
give me
of
1
some
second.
standing
Brijesh Kalappa,
who has suggested this scheme.
wait a
Tell me
minute,
one
Brijesh
economist of
Kalappa,
some
just one minute. I have Balakumar on the phone line from Guntur. We have audience members calling in this evening who have their opinion that they would like to share with us. Balakumar, you're on the show. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening to everyone. I am a small employee, government employee from Andhra Pradesh, Guntur. And I am depending on my salary only. But since 2 weeks I have been running after the bank and I am not given any money, saying that no money is there in the bank. But by the 1st of next month, I have a lot of commitments to be met with. But what is my position on the 1st of December? I am in a great dilemma. What to be done to fulfill my commitments? And I am ignored and I am not given an answer in the bank. I don't know whether the Prime Minister ji has got what sort of plans he has got. Okay, I don't know whether to appreciate or not to appreciate. What about my position on the 1st of December?
All right, that's a very good question, Balakumar. This is the truth, really, that when the announcement was made on the 8th of November, all of the salaried people in this country and the pensioners in this country had met their commitments for the month. So all they had to do was tighten spending. Now we're approaching the 1st of December. We're approaching salary day where people will need to want to take money out of their bank accounts and pay the people they have to pay every month. Are we ready? And for people like Balakumar, the question is not the larger plan, but what are they going to do on the 1st of the month? Nikhil Mandal, I'm going to come to you first because I know you had something to say. And then I'll go back to Hitesh Jain for a response. Nikhil Mandal.
Yeah, I would like to ask one question from Hitesh Jain. BJP has launched already 50% exchange offer scheme. If you are trying to avoid the black money, then what was the use of demonetization? Why you are using all this scheme?
Hitesh Jain, respond to that question and also respond to what Balakumar asked us, which is, what are we going to do on the 1st of the month? What is the government's plan for the 1st of the month?
That is the amendment proposed in the Income Tax Act. So instead of people getting conned by people of the 40% or 50%, the government is giving them an opportunity that if you pay the penalty, you pay up to 25% will be
Right, Hitesh Jain, that connection seems to be weak. We'll try and get you back up again. I want to bring in the rest of the panelists in the meantime.
Yeah,
that's
I'm not getting you actually.
Right, that connection is weak. I'll just bring that back. But let me go to Tanveer Ahmed. Tanveer Ahmed in Bangalore. Very good question there being asked by one of our viewers. What do we do on the 1st of the month? What does every salaried person, every pensioner, what do they do on the 1st of the month?
Exactly, this is one question which everybody is asking. But Faye, let me just congratulate your channel for bringing one thing and which is being implemented in Karnataka. Though I was the one who was sat in your channel and had said that BPL card holders should be given food on credit, that is implemented in Karnataka. Though being in opposition, we really appreciate, but the credit should go to your channel, which had really brought this into discussion. But however, as we know that yes, this 22 days, they had really played, with demonetization, the circles, the big talks, nationalism and anti-national and thing. But today, I don't think the banks are equipped to really cater to more than 70 lakh people who are working in IT industry at one juncture in Whitefield and Electronic City. How are they going to facilitate those guys? How are we going to pay? This is a big question. The government, as we all know, Mr. Hitesh Jain, if you ask this question 100 times, we would say that we all had appreciated demonetization, though it was a hurried act, but the implementation is absolutely zero. Your government has totally failed because it has not considered anybody with a brain which has sense and which has pain for the last man standing in the queue. Yes, it has failed. I don't know, but high time. Rather than debating here, the government should really put their foot on the pedal and need to see how they can facilitate the people who is going to be standing in the queue for their salaries now.
We'll try and get Hitesh Jain back up. Brijesh Kalappa, I want to focus this conversation back onto the real estate sector and black money and what Fuad Halim was bringing up in terms of the loss of employment that will result in the real estate sector if construction comes to a standstill. But what we have discovered is that there are several developers who are on the brink of financial instability who have now used this opportunity to boost their sales. Not enough is being done to crack down. And the brazen manner, and you know, I just want to play this. This is clip number 5. I just want to play this for our panel so that the panel understands what we're saying. The brazen manner in which our reporters were told that, listen, if you want to pay, we have a daily spot trading rate. We will give it to you at this rate if you want. If you come after 2 days, the rate might be different. Depending on how much money is coming in, how many old notes are coming in on a daily basis, there is a rate that is being offered. Listen to this clip, and then I want our panelists to respond to what we have discovered.
ऑप्शन आइदर आप मुझे पुरानी में प्रीमियम दो या तो फिर आप मुझे नया करेंसी दो. आई एम नॉट मतलब मेरे को आपको ब्लॉक करना है तो यू हैव टू गिव मी फ्रॉम ईदर ऑफ द केस. एंड क्या परसेंटाइल रहेगा दैट विल बी वेरी एज आई सेड आप जिस दिन लेके आ रहे हो उस दिन पे हम लोग डिसाइड करेंगे. तो एक दिन सुबह मुझे फ़ोन कर दो, शाम तक आप आ जाओ. ठीक है. यू कांट मतलब आप अभी इसको होल्ड भी नहीं कर सकते ऐसी हालत, क्योंकि वो कागज़ बन जाएगा. कागज़ रख के करोगे क्या? यू डोंट हैव, ऑल यू हैव इज टिल 10th December, whatever you want to take a call. Here, maybe somewhere else. You don't have much time. For anyone who has that, you can't. Either you invest in diamonds, you invest wherever you want to. Will you make it?
So you are saying we just have to pay a premium on the cash that
only on the cash, only on the cash, yes.
और वो कितना परसेंट हो रहा है अपने टोटल?
25%, 25 to 30% के बीच में रहेगा.
के बीच में रहेगा ना, जो हम कैश देंगे.
Yes. कैश के ऊपर कैश.
कैश के ऊपर कैश.
हाँ, that's it. और वो भी as I said, if things go on a serious note, I will also try to negotiate. We'll get the best deal out of it. आप पहले वो एक बार समझा,
एक बार मानस बना लो अपना. Then we can talk how much I can give you cash on cash.
Exactly.
And if I give you 500,000 तो प्रीमियम है. If I give you 2,000,
I give you time. अब फेब तक मुझे दो 51 lakhs या whatever you negotiate उसमें आराम से. मेरे को कोई गाय नहीं. I am not in a hurry. You take your call. In the end, you should be happy. That's what matters. आप सोचो, आपको अगर जगह पसंद आई है, आपको सब कुछ as per your mindset सब set out, then one thing, I'm giving you, I'm ready to give you time, I'm ready to give you loan facility. मैं आपको सारी चीज़ करवा के सकती हूँ, but it has to be your happy decision.
Well, the brazen manner in which that hard sell was being made, I want our panelists to respond to that now. Brijesh Kalappa, I'm going to come to you first. This is what was being said. If you pay me cash in 2,000 rupee notes, I will give you up till February next year to make that payment. Take your time, we're not in a hurry. If you want to give me old notes, then you have to pay a premium that will be decided on a daily basis. This is what we're hearing. What's your response to that?
No, the first thing is, Faye, that this clearly seems to be a transaction which is involving only black money. And 2,000 rupee notes obviously means that it's not a payment by check. So obviously it's a cash transaction, and cash transactions are abounding. Now, how did somebody, or how does somebody come across so many 2,000 rupee notes when an average person can only get 24,000 rupees a week? Now, how does somebody raise a huge amount of money, for instance, to pay 1 lakh or 2 lakh or something, to pay this, to pay the real estate agent or the the
51 lakh
company which
rupees.
is now selling these flats? This is the question. Yeah. Oh my God. So the point is, how does one raise that 51 lakh? Because you have so many curbs on drawing money, on drawing your own money. Now, how does one come across so many of these, how does one overcome so many of these curbs? So this is the point. The point is that black money is still thriving and black money is still exchanging hands. Black money is doing the rounds everywhere where it matters, except for the common man. The common man has got the worst end of the stick and he's the one being beaten black and blue. While the rich, the ultra rich and those big fish and big whales are now scot-free and they're the ones who are enjoying a free run. This kind of an economy where the deprived have been deprived of even daily allowance, and where the ultra rich are enjoying this kind of.
Right, Hitesh Jain, respond to that. Respond to the fact that 51 lakh rupees in 2,000 rupee notes, and here is a developer saying, I'm not in a hurry, हमें कोई घाई नहीं है, आप अगली February तक दे सकते हैं पैसे, which means that there's no fear.
Well, old habits do not die easily, but those who are indulging, there is a very clear message. They should not indulge. It is not easy. Fine, you have taken the 500 and 1,000 note. What are you going to do? They are cancelled note you cannot use for any transaction, except you deposit in the bank. And if you are going to deposit and you are not, and if you are unable to explain, and transaction like this, which are clearly unaccounted transaction, such people are really going to face a serious music, and they will be penalized to the extent of more than 85 to 100%. Make very clear, as far as the amendment is concerned, they clearly said, as far as the money laundering is concerned or any proceeds of crime is concerned, no protection is available, and if the authorities have been empowered to investigate the source of the fund, and people like this are going to face the music. So it is very simple. They cannot take 500 and 1,000 and store it in the house. They have no value. These notes have been cancelled. They have to deposit in the bank.
We're getting evidence now, and I'll throw this question to Rohit Poddar. We're getting evidence now that local level authorities, both in the government, and government officials have said the bribes that you were going to pay us, paid to us in old notes plus a premium. Rohit Poddar?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think there's been the two sides of the story. There's been one side of the story where approvals are actually coming in without anything being exchanged, and there's also another side of the story where I've heard stories about this happening as well. So I think like Mr. Jain said, old habits die hard, and it's going to take time.
No, so my question is, if we are going to say, where will this developer, in this particular question, where will they take the cash that you're collecting? It will be passed on because those bribes are still being accepted. Are they not? Rohit Poddar?
I'll be honest with you. For the last 2.5 weeks, it's been such a shock to the system. I don't think any developers are in the frame of mind to basically get approvals done. There've been challenges on a day-to-day basis to pay, for employees to basically get basic money. So we've been all bootstrapping to basically make sure our employees are basically safe and they're able to get home on time and get a decent meal to eat. So I personally don't think developers are in the frame of mind to go and get files passed in any hurry of any nature. Like I said, sales are down a lot. So I think this is something we should have to play out over the next few weeks, and we'll have to basically see. But I agree with your point. If we're serious about cleaning up corruption, which is the root cause of, in my view, of the black money generation being done, other than some people want to save taxes and things of that nature, corruption has to be basically managed across all levels. And I personally feel that the Modi government will take the steps in the foreseeable future to root out corruption at the root cause. Because if they're serious about black money not being a part of the system, which they seem to be, calling it the black money bill or whatever it is, then that is a logical next step.
All right, corruption needs to be tackled. Chitra Joshi is on the phone line from Mumbai. She wants to add a comment to this conversation. Chitra Joshi, you are now on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I just have a comment that in the whole world, whichever countries have done the demonetization, it was with a proper planning in their mind. And whatever we have done in India, I feel that it's a very, very mindless job. And compared to the urban population in India, the population in the rural India is really suffering a lot. To give you an example, I work in a public hospital. I had called one of my patient's father who lives somewhere in a village in Mumbai, and when I requested him, can he come to meet us, he said, ma'am, I don't have money to travel because I haven't got my wages. I work in a farm as a labor. So that is one thing, that is the comment which I have. So I think it's a completely mindless job, and I'm a salaried person. I also want to see how much money do I get when I go to the bank after the 1st of next month. And another thing is, I have a question that yesterday there was a claim made by the government that from today, there will not be any bar on what amount you will be able, you can actually, debit from your account. But it has not been happening. That's the whole
That is absolutely true. In fact, in Mumbai, in the financial capital of this country, several banks have been turning away customers, saying that they just have not received cash. So it doesn't matter if you walk in with a check of 20 or 24,000 rupees or 6,000 rupees, there isn't money to be given to you. How are we going to handle the 1st of the month? That's only 2 days away. Jainandra is on the phone line from Mumbai. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead. What's the point you'd like to make?
I have one simple question. The objective of demonetization was fighting black money, corruption, terrorism, and fake currency note. I want to ask BJP person, by this 20 days which has gone by, it is almost 50, we are nearing to the 50. The question is not about what will happen after 1st December. The question is only about how much have they achieved as an objective of that, because terror attacks are happening, corruption video you are showing, that how people are taking steps to convert the money, and how much fake currency they have yet gathered.
Yes.
And what is the machinery there, because as far as my Google search, there are only 80,000 IT officers to catch hold of around 5-6 crore people in whole of India. So what government is doing to take action for such?
It's an excellent question. Hitesh Jain, I'm just going to take that question straight to you. How much has been achieved? We're very close to the halfway point of the 50-day deadline. How much has been achieved so far?
Well, how much have been achieved is close to over 9 lakh crore has been deposited in the bank account. You had the highest Maoist surrender in certain Naxal areas. So that is a sign. As far as Jammu and Kashmir also, except 1 or 2 incidents, most of the incidents have come to an end. So you are not seeing the large scale this thing. As far as the border issues are concerned,
we had a very unfortunate incident this morning itself.
Yes. So that is a part of that incident. The series of this thing where India where we are giving the reply to the Pakistan at the armed forces. You are aware about how Pakistan wants to take the advantage of the situation and try to destabilize us. So that is a part, and we saw the evidence of Pakistan's hand in that. So that's a problem that is being dealt. The army is taking every possible step to thwart such incidents. That is not a problem because of demonetization. That is a perennial problem with the Pakistan. So we cannot trivialize that issue with the issue of demonetization. But as far as the problem where you saw the stone pelting incidents have absolutely, there are very hardly any which you can count on the fingers about the stone pelting incidents. You are not seeing burglaries happening. So by and large, the crime looks like in a fair manner it is being advised. You are seeing the raids on the Hawala operators and all. So once the amount is cancelled and the people who were holding the money, this demonetization has severely crippled those people, and the government is going to continue to take series of steps to tackle the issue of the black money.
Well, I want to bring in Fuad Halim here on the point that was made, Fuad, by that one person, Chitra, who just called us. She said she works in a public service hospital and one of her patients could not see her because he had not received his wages. It was an elderly gentleman who worked as a farmhand labourer, and he had not received his wages, so he could not access medical help. So it was not a question of whether or not the hospital was available to him. He could not reach the hospital. And these are the stories coming out of our villages right now.
Well, it's very clear, you know, if the Prime Minister is trying to broadcast his Man Ki Baat, he uses the radio channel. He doesn't use the mobile, what you call chat channel, to get his Man Ki Baat across India. But yet he expects that the transactions, the money transaction at the right last household in the rural Indian village will be conducted through mobile phones. You know, that's the present advertising campaign that the government of India has launched. I mean, he should start Man Ki Baat first on mobile app chat, and then maybe he can consider that. But that doesn't seem to be impacting the Prime Minister of the country. The second point I'd like to make over here, one has to understand very, very concretely that as a society, our cash transactions occupy 80% of all transactions. And if you're going to demonetize on a knee-jerk reaction, then you're going to end up with a situation where the Prime Minister says on the 8th of November that the toll plazas will accept 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, and his own cabinet colleague the next day morning says the toll plazas will be free.
He wants to support the cash transaction.
Let me finish off.
Then, sir, then he should also say whether he is agreeable for such transaction.
Don't politicalize issues. I'm trying to have an academic discussion.
Are you in favor of cash transaction?
No,
I'm just asking the
government
issue.
of India
I'm asking a simple question. Are you in favor of cash transaction, or you are in favor of financial inclusion?
Why did Nitin Gadkari have to, within 12 hours of the Prime Minister's speech, actually what you call revoke one of the decisions?
Let's clarify the difference between a cash transaction and black money. All cash transactions are not black money.
Let us come to the second situation. The
you are justifying 80% of the economy is
to such a situation where the Prime Minister and the RBI issue a circular, and a clerk at the banking counter, he doesn't deliver on it. Look at the situation. You have told people that they will get a certain amount of money that can be transacted, and the clerk at the counter of the bank, he revokes that order because he doesn't have the cash over there. Look at the material reality that the Prime Minister's office and the RBI circular has been reduced to today in India. All because there have not been concrete preparation for delivering.
All right, Hitesh Jain, I'm going to give you the last word on this debate. But first, I have S. Radhakrishnan on the phone line right now. S. Radhakrishnan, I have less than a minute. Very quickly, go ahead. What is the point you'd like to make?
Yes, madam. Hitesh and one developer, they say there is no black money dealing going on in real estate. You come in Ghatkopar and Chembur, Tilaknagar, the ratio is 40:60. Even today, it is there. 40% black, 60% white. In our own building, recently, 15 days before there was a dealing, where 50% was paid in black money. As long as agreement value was lesser than the original value. How can they say nothing, black money is not going on in real estate? Even today it is going on. It is a fact.
Even today it's going on. That's Radhakrishnan's point from Mumbai. Hitesh Jain, now respond to that. The fact that, and we're circling back to the same thing, that these transactions of what is black money, because they are not being registered, stamp duty is not being paid, the registration is being done at a lower value. This is black money. This is not being stopped.
Well, according to me, registration cannot be done at the lower value. There is a clear provision in the Income Tax Act. If any transaction is below the circle tax, then the
there is a big difference,
and the
Mr.
developer
Jain, between the ready reckoner rate and the actual value being paid for several of these homes.
So
there is a big difference between.
So if you are going to underprice, you will be taxed. There is a provision in the Income Tax Act.
Mr. Jain, there is a massive difference between that income tax provisionary rate and the actual rate at which homes are being sold. It's called the ready reckoner rate, and we've had builders on camera, which I could play for you, but we're running out of time, saying that let's register at the ready reckoner rate, pay me the remaining 31 lakh rupees in cash.
Well,
if I could just get in one comment.
Such people are doing, they are doing at their own peril, and they are going to face the music, and they are seriously going to get, the Income Tax Amendment Act, they should have a serious look at it, and this is not the first step. The government is going to take a series of steps to tackle the issue of the black money.
All right, we're running out of time. I know Brijesh Kalappa wants to make a point.
Still not answered by BJP person.
That is true. Brijesh Kalappa, very quickly.
Now,
very quickly, like to make closing argument. Very quickly.
Hitesh Jain keeps saying that somebody is going to face the music. Yeah, Hitesh Jain keeps saying that somebody is going to face the music. But as far as big builders are concerned, as far as the big fish are concerned, they all seem to be dancing to the music that the Modi Sarkar is now playing.
Tanveer Ahmed, would you like to make a point?
I totally agree with what Mr. Kalappa said for the first time, that Hitesh Jain had really had no serious discussion on anything. It was just theatrical. And we have really failed to answer how are we going to tackle the issue of paying salaries, how are we going to go to the last man. They are saying about cashless society. I think India will take another 50 years to become the cashless society, because we have not digitized everything. We need to really work towards the last man standing rather than coming and harping that we have done
I want to bring in Rohit Poddar very quickly. Rohit Poddar,
together.
The argument that the income tax department provides for a ready reckoner rate below which you cannot register, that's laughable, because the ready reckoner rate and the actual rate is a massive difference, especially in big cities like Mumbai.
I don't agree to this point actually, Faye, because in fact we've been campaigning vociferously with hard data in mind, that in many cases, especially in commercial transactions, the ready reckoner rate is actually far higher than the actual transaction rate. And because the market's really been soft for the last 3 years. And in most areas, in fact, of Mumbai today, even for residential properties, this is not the case. Okay. I don't agree with the fact that cash transactions are actually rampant. I mean, all the leading developers of Mumbai are not taking cash transactions. It's maybe like a few and far between matter. I personally think with demonetization coupled with basically an anti-corruption bill, that maybe the Right to Services Act, I think there will be a substantial cleanup in the system in the next few months. Right. And this is the last point. I'm actually in agreement with Mr. Jain on the fact that I think we'll see a hockey stick effect. I think maybe certainly there'll be pain for the next 6 months for the real estate sector. I don't deny that. You probably will see a shrinkage on the GDP. But if the actual rate transmissions are taking place to the real estate sector or to the sector, the economy in general, with income tax, with rates coming down for home loans and bank rates, I think you'll certainly have a pickup in the sector, maybe in about 6 months' time.
All right. So I must point out, as someone who tracks the real estate sector, that while the large or the what's called A-grade developers might not be taking cash, A-grade developers are not always accessible to the larger population. There's a B-grade developer. Most of Tier 2 and Tier 3 India, smaller cities and smaller towns, are completely cash transactions. And we found that those cash transactions continue. So if the government really wants to clamp down on black money in real estate and make real estate and homes more accessible to the average Indian, then corruption in the system, when these developers are constantly being asked to pay money by various people at various levels, and we'll bring you evidence of that over the next couple of days on how the real estate industry is being extorted for permissions, and that hasn't stopped after demonetization either. The corruption in the system has to be cleaned up in order to make the system and homes truly accessible. That has been our campaign on this channel since we began, and we will continue to push for a cleaner real estate sector where every Indian can afford a home. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.